that you set when you were 18 and under, and how did you achieve it?
Well, a goal that I personally set for myself when I was 18 and under is to try and be a lot more confident in myself, because confidence plays a huge role in whatever activities you plan to do in the future, as in with your career and overall everything you're going to do.
Kiana, James, let's hear you. What is a goal that you set when you were 18 and under? Let's go. Kiana?
Good morning, everyone. A goal that I set was to follow my dreams. So I'm currently on the journey of what I want to become and not what someone else wants me to be. Thank you.
I like that one. I like that one. I like that one, Kiona. Um, Kyle Meek, let's go, Kyle. What was a goal that you set when you were 18 and under, and how did you achieve it?
Okay, I go what I said when I was 18 and younger was that I wanted to be a medical doctor. So I was doing studies like biology, chemistry, and physics to do that, but that changed since.
Okay. And the change that you made, you feel more comfortable with it, right?
Yes, I was comfortable with it.
Most definitely. Dominic, let's go. What is a goal that you set when you were 18 and under, and how did you go about achieving it?
All right, good morning, everyone. A goal that I set to myself was to achieve an associate degree at Montego Bay Community College. And I worked hard day and night, and I did achieve it.
Thank you very much. So with these stories, people, you can tell that it is important to set goals. They are stepping stones into what you want to do, what you see yourself acquiring in the future, right? So going ahead into this presentation, I believe I can share a goal that I set when I was 18. I wanted to get a scholarship to go to college because I didn't want my mother to bear that cost. That was at 18. I didn't get a scholarship until I was 25, attending college. So though they did not manifest in the time that you say or that you stipulated, once you keep going at it, you will achieve it. And to segue into that, I'll have someone speaking to you on the importance of goal setting and sharing a few goal setting techniques with you. To introduce this person, I'll ask Antonio Peart to introduce our next speaker, please.
Good morning. Is everyone hearing me? You hearing me, sir? Um, a young man, innovative a young man, innovative and unconventional leader.
Antonio,
who is
please
a
turn on your
Christian.
camera. Please, I'm not hearing you.
You hearing me?
Yes, and please turn on your camera, please.
I'm trying to put the host. It says the host stopped it.
One moment, please. All right, go ahead now, please.
Yes, sir.
Wonderful.
This is my introduction. A young man, innovative and unconventional leader who is a Christian, an educator in training, and a marketing enthusiast. He has served in various leadership capacities, with his most recent involvement in the UJA Students' Union Council, where he served his first vice president overseeing academic affairs, clubs, societies, and associations. He is a strong believer that a lot of solutions in the world needs rest in our ability to realize them. I present to you Mr. Robert Chambers.
Good morning, everybody. You guys can hear me? No? All right, good morning.
Yeah, Rose, right here, Rose.
All right, bless up, brother. Bless up, bless up, bless up. All right, guys. Thank you guys for joining us this morning. It's really a privilege to be able to share on this platform, especially in this time, on this particular topic. And so I'm just waiting to be granted privilege to share my screen or to share my presentation. So I'm just waiting on the admin persons. But I trust that you all are anticipating this presentation or anticipating this particular program that we have in store for you. The motto of Olive, as some would probably know, is that we are fully fortified for future frontiers. And that goes without saying that we are a set of young men who are willing to go above and beyond when it comes on to excellence and whatever we put our minds to. So I guess this is one of the results of that. If you can see the production, and we are really trying our best to really serve and to be as impactful as we can in our own right as gentlemen of Hall F. So it's really a privilege to be able to share. All right, so I've just been given the privilege, and so I'm going to start my presentation right now. All right, so goal setting techniques. And as the host would have mentioned, that it is very important in our lives to have goals and to also develop techniques in terms of how you'll go towards achieving those goals. Yes, it would not be like a one-off thing, whereas, yes, I have a goal, so I can get there immediately. No, it's not like that basically. So it's going to take different approaches, different what should I say, mindset that you'd have to put in place for you to be able to arrive at those goals. And so the objectives of this presentation would be to understand what goal setting is, be able to develop a vision, and appreciate techniques used for goal setting. And I know the host asked person to share some goals that they would have had when they were at the age of 18, right? So right now I'm gonna ask about 5 persons to just share any goal that they have in this present time. So 5 persons, I think the admin person will indicate, you can just use a raise hand feature, and then I can be instructed who to call on. But I need 5 persons quickly to share what goals you have in this present time. I know it's unprecedented, but it's still possible to set a goal for yourself and work towards it. So I need 5 persons to just indicate, and so I can just call on you to speak. All right, I'll just call on someone randomly. So Mr. Denzar Forbes, can you tell us a goal that you have presently that you are working towards? No, Denzar? Possibly he's not available. All right. Milton Marsh, can you share a goal that you have presently for yourself that you're working towards?
Um, Good morning. One of my goals currently is to attain a 3.6 GPA.
Oh.
I'm working hard to actually achieve that goal, as in I am following the necessary, steps, doing my studies, working together in groups and to keep my grades up.
All right, that's brilliant. All right, and I'm gonna ask a female right now because I want it to be as balanced as possible. Miss Beckford, Shanti Beckford, could you just share a goal that you have presently that you've set for yourself? You don't need to tell us like what you're doing to work towards it right now, but I just need to know the goal that is. Shanti? No. All right, I'm gonna ask Danelia. Danelia Wadsworth, can you just share a goal that you have currently that you've set for yourself?
Hi guys. So a goal I've set, I intend to become a fluent keyboard player by the end of the year.
All right, practical. Okay. Well, all right. Let's see how that goes. And I need one more person, one more male. Mr. Matthew. Matthew, can you share one goal that you have for yourself currently?
Currently, my goal is to get through the first year of school at UTech Jamaica.
All right,
Without
fair enough, fair enough.
kids.
All right, thank you for that. So basically, the goals are, even for the persons who didn't get to share just now, I just want you to think about a goal that you're currently working. Certainty in terms of the techniques that you're going to apply, the steps you're going to take to ensure the realization of that particular goal. And I think also at the end of the presentation, I would ask those same persons as well to share what steps they're going to take towards achieving those goals. All right, let's go. All right, so we're on to what is goal setting. I know a lot of us would have heard about it before and known like, yes, it's you're going to set a goal and you have to work towards it, yes. But let's just look at some definitions that I had put together. So it's about creating an avenue to if you're setting a goal and you don't feel motivated about it, you'll probably need to look into that goal again. All right. And thirdly, it is a system designed to formulate targets to be achieved at a point in time. So, it being a system, there are different stages or different areas that you'll need to work on to then arrive at an end result. Motivation, there's no action, there's no drive towards moving towards that goal will just remain dormant, right? So that is very important when you're setting a goal or understanding what goal setting is all about. So firstly, you have to envision the end of your tenure, what you want to see at the end of this present tenure, this present time that you're in. What do you see yourself doing? And even the Bible talks about that you have to write the vision and make it plain, because when you write the vision and make it plain, it's like you're being intentional about it. And so you know exactly that this is what you want to see. You're envisioning the end result. And so when you do that, that will enable your goal setting practices to be more sure in the outcome that you want to achieve. And so, secondly, you have to imagine the success you want to achieve, right? You have to imagine it, you have to envision, you have to really look at this success. Danita mentioned about playing the keyboard. And at the end of, I think it was a year, she said, and really and truly, if she's supposed to do that, she has to really see herself really achieving that. She has to imagine that success, because at the end of the day, that will actually help to motivate her towards, practicing on a daily basis, doing what she needs to do to set the time, the schedule. In terms of your energy given towards what you want to achieve. And innovation and creativity talks about trying things new or just trying to be out of the box per se. Well, the box don't really exist, but that's another topic, right? So have to really understand that it takes passion, innovation, and creativity to really help you to develop your vision, which at the end of the day contributes to you achieving your goal. And you now have to align it to the time you have been given. Time is very limited, and we lose time every. You now have to try your best. I know another speaker will be speaking about time management later today. And so time is very important. You have to ensure that your vision is aligned to time, because that will help you to set a range or a period in which you can target to achieve a certain goal. So time is very, very important. Don't forget that. All right. And this one now speaks about start setting goals or targets to make this vision possible. So whatever vision or goal that you have for yourself, you have to start setting goals or targets that will make the vision possible, because the vision itself is actually the end result or the end experience that you want to achieve. But goals are really what will lead up to it, basically. So yes, you have a vision, but there are goals, different milestones that you have to arrive at to then get to that vision to which you desire for yourself. All right? And so I have a video that I wanted to share. And I want persons to give their feedback as well. Hold on, let me check something. All right. So I have a video that I'm going to share, and I want persons to give feedback, maybe 1, 2, or 3 persons, just to tell me your thoughts about it. It's still under the same sub-heading, vision development and activation. So I want your feedback about it. All right, here we go. Let me know if you're hearing.
Oh, you're gonna be okay. Film student, you're studying it? Yeah, that's one thing, you have to go to class to be a film student. So just, if that's your dream, you got a vision board? Is it on your? Work like a dog. No, really, and ask God for some help. That's the way you make it in life. If you don't have vision boards, let me explain something to you. Let me explain something. People do not understand this. If you do not have it written down, your chances of it happening is reduced drastically, because it's a principle of success. You have to have everything you want written. It's in the Bible. Now, you ain't got to be the greatest Christian in the world. You still got to get some of these scriptures and apply them. Habakkuk 2:2. It says, write the vision and make it plain, so that he who reads it will run to it And even though it tarry, that means take a long time, wait for it, for surely it will come at an appointed time. That's in the Bible. Listen to me. That's real. If you don't think it's real, I dare you to try it. Write everything you want on a piece of paper. Everything. I don't care. Use your wildest imagination. If you can think it, you can achieve it. Write it on a piece of paper. Read it every morning and every night. Come back here 1 year from today and see how much of that stuff then came true. That's a promise of your God. That ain't no theory I come up with. That's all successful people have it. Oprah's on TV for 30 years telling people about vision board. It's very real. You have to write it. If it's not written, you reduce your chances greatly of it ever occurring. Everything I've ever gotten in life, I've written. My vision board is crazy. You wouldn't even believe I'm not even in the need business anymore. I'm in the want business. I don't need nothing. Got houses, cars, success, career, family, kids. What's on my vision board now is astronomical. And guess what? I'm gonna get all of it. I'm gonna get all of it. You should try that. You should try it.
All right, and so that was Steve Harvey, and you know him to be a very successful person. And here it is that he's making reference to the Bible and to God himself in terms of his value or his word about vision and the importance of vision. So I want persons to just give me some feedback about what they think about what Steve just mentioned. You all don't have to raise your hands all at once.
We can just speak?
Sorry?
I'm asking if I can speak.
Yeah, man, Mr. Francis, you're welcome. You're part of the audience.
Yes, good morning. That video is really accurate and relevant because I experienced that personally. It was only after I put what I wanted on paper and pasted it on my wall and started looking at it every day I woke up and stuff. It was then my brain started operating differently, and majority of those stuff actually came through. So I guess not, although it is in the Bible, it's religious, it's ordained. I guess it has some psychological effect as well, because if you put it on paper and if you're seeing it, then you're going to achieve it. So that is very much accurate.
All right, thank you for that, Mr. Francis. Anyone else wants to share or wants to agree with Mr. Francis or had a similar experience like Mr. Francis? I guess I should be calling names again, you know, because I want persons to participate. Kimberly Dawkins, can you just share briefly what you thought about this video by Steve Harvey? Can you relate to it in any way? All right, tough crowd, tough crowd. All right, no problem. All right, just one more person. Navir Taylor. Would you like to share?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Okay,
Oh, I'm seeing someone raising their hand. So after the Jovi, so you'll go after Navir. So Navir, go ahead.
Okay, so after watching the video, I've realized that why sometimes I'm not really achieving my set goals. It's because I've been reminding myself of what I want to achieve. So sometimes on the way, I probably lose focus because my mind is not set on that target goal. So what I'm planning to do now is to write my goals, paste it on the wall, so that it can be a constant reminder of what I'm working towards. So that video was very informative, and I'm going to use that approach.
All right, great job, Navir. Thanks for sharing. All right, so Jovi, Reed, and then Stephen. So Jovi, Reed, you had your hand up just now. No? All right, Stephen, you can go ahead.
All right, morning everyone. Just to comment on what Romario said, there is a psychological impact to it, because you see, when you write it down, having an idea in your head is something that's abstract. But when you take the time to write it down, like the verse says, it makes it plain. So you find that you are breaking it down now into something that is more concrete, into actionable steps that you can take. And so you're moving it from this abstract concept into this practical thing that can be handled, that can be taken on. So I'll always advocate for writing it down.
All right, thanks for sharing, Stephen. All right, for me, if I should share my own testimonial, I typically don't write a lot, but I do type a lot. So I'll use a lot of applications, a lot of using the notes application to write down stuff, especially when I'm planning uh, activities or planning like events. I plan based on stuff I would have written down in these notes or on my computer per se. So it actually helps, basically, as Stephen says, that it's moving from a place of abstract to practical applications. And so in the chat, I'm seeing where Daniela Wadsworth mentioned that write the vision and make it plain. Or she was just commenting or reaffirming the scripture that Steve had shared. All right, thank you guys so much for participating. I really appreciate it. All right, so now we're moving into the meat of the matter, goal setting techniques. And so we would have just spoken about vision and what a vision entails in terms of goals leading up to vision. So now we're going to look at goal setting techniques, and there are 6 techniques that I want to present to you. So firstly, you have to set goals that motivate you, set smart goals, set goals in writing, make an action plan, be consistent, seek help to attain goals. So those are the 6 techniques that you want to have as your key takeaway from today's presentation. And I want you to look carefully and to think as I proceed. And so the first one, which speaks about setting goals that motivate you. Well, it says that you should ensure that the goals you want to achieve is important to you. And that is very, very, very important, as it emphasizes it right there. Because you don't want to set goals because you see someone doing something else and you want to match up to them, or you're just doing it because someone tell you to do it. If the goal is not important to you, it, it, you won't find that true, or that, or should I say, that real motivation that you need to drive you towards success. Because imagine that at some point in the journey, you'll probably end up blaming others than even looking into yourself, because you're the one that's actually trying to achieve it. So you now have to just ensure that the goal that you're setting, the goal that you're working towards, is very much important to you, because that will help as a driver towards your success in achieving that goal. And secondly, your goal must have some value, either personal or organizational, right? So you now have to ensure that the goal that you have, that you're setting, has some value either to you personally or the organization that you're a part of, right? So I would have served in various positions before. I was a deputy rep for Pels. I was in the students union as the deputy president. And so it's a case where, as there are some goals I have to set for myself personally, as well as for the organization to which I serve, right? Because at the end of the day, you want to ensure that you leave some impact personally as well as in the organization that you're a part of. So I had to set some goals that were valuable to myself. And so it was through those values that I would have applied or tried to establish within myself, I was able to achieve some of the successes that I was able to realize at the end of my tenure. So at the end of the day, whenever you're setting a goal, value is important, all right? And thirdly, you have to set goals that relate to the high priorities of your portfolio, right? And this is more so referring to your area of involvement. It could be school, it could be whichever committee you're a part of, whatever you're involved in. So you have to look at what are the demands, right? So you're in school, as Milton would have shared that he's trying to achieve a 3.6 GPA, right? That could have been his high priority in terms of is school in per se, what he's trying to achieve. And so because he would have set that target, that high priority, he now has to work towards it. And so he can find in himself that motivation, that drive towards achieving that goal. And 4 says that if the goal does not stir you to have an I must do this attitude, find something else to do. And this is really, I mean, straightforward as it can be. If it doesn't stir you, if it doesn't cause you to get excited, you probably need to find something else to do. Because at the end of the day, what actually allows you to go towards achieving a goal, it has a lot to do with motivation. And most of the time it's intrinsic. So you can't really depend on others to motivate you at times. Really and truly, the motivation that counts is the motivation that's from within. So I encourage you to take these pointers in mind in terms of setting your goal and to ensure that it motivates you. All right, any questions so far? Any comments? Anything from the chat? All right, no? All right. All right, no problem. If you're on the same page as me, send a thumbs up in the chat. Let me get some interaction going. Send a thumbs up. Let me see if persons are paying attention. Send some thumbs up in the chat. Even one will do, you know. That's my motivation. At least one. I just need to reach one person.
Rebel.
Yes?
I just want to say something about what Steve said.
Oh, that's Antonio? Yeah, man. Go ahead, Antonio.
Yes, sir. To me, what he said, I find it really interesting because I'm not gonna lie, I really do not write down things like my goals and stuff. I just tell myself to do this and I just try to remember. And most of the times I forget. And I tell myself again that I'm going to find some way to remember and I forget that as well. So I find what Steve said really going to implement that in my daily life. I think it would be very helpful towards achieving the goal in the future. Yes, sir.
All right. All right. Thanks for that, Antonio. I wish you all the best with that as you try to improve. So I realize that some persons gave some feedback in the chat. Thank you so much. So I feel like I'm not alone. All right, thank you. All right, so we're going to move on. So we just spoke about setting goals that motivate you, right? Because motivation is very, very important towards achieving your goal. Now we're going to look at the second technique, which is setting SMART goals. So a lot of persons may be familiar with this method or this explanation of setting SMART goals. So as you see, the S stands for specific, M measurable, A achievable, R realistic, and T time bound. So you now have to evaluate your goals, the goals that you're setting for yourself. You have to ensure that they are SMART goals and that you have to evaluate them using or within this particular context. Because at the end of the day, you now would be in a place of a better place to be intentional about what you're doing. Because if you're setting a goal that is not specific, one that is ambiguous, you will always be possibly in that same position, not knowing what next to do or how to do it basically. And so if you were specific about it, you can then be, you could then be able to measure it. So you see this particular strategy in terms of our technique, in terms of setting your goal, works hand in hand in ensuring that your goals are achieved at the end of the day. Because once you make it specific, you can then measure it. You can then evaluate whether or not it's achievable within the space that you have in terms of resources. And then if you look at the fact that if it's realistic or not, how possible is it in this present time? You can then now look at the timeliness of it. So setting SMART goals is very, very, very important. And so this is something that would have been taught over the years. It's always been repeated in different modules and courses in terms of goal setting or things that need to be considered when planning, basically. But we now have to move from a place of knowing about it and put it into practical terms, into actually doing it, because it actually works. Being specific and ensuring that it's measurable leads to it being a success. All right. Any comments on that as I move forward? All right, no. All right, moving on. All right. So another technique now is referring specifically to setting goals in writing. So a plan cannot be a plan unless it's on paper or on screen. And I put screen there for the persons who type, right? So as we would have said before, when you actually try to write down your goals or try to put it down in some physical shape or form, you know psychologically or based on the scriptures as it would have mentioned in the Bible, you would have been able to see what you have in mind or to have somewhat a drive towards what you want to achieve. Because similar to architecture student or a building person who would do like a plan, once a plan goes on paper, you're able to look at the space or look at the resources that you'll need. You'll now be able to plan effectively about how you'd want to develop that particular structure the plan is related to. And so it's the same thing when you're setting your goals, when you write it down, when you write down every single detail about it. I mean, for me, when I'm on committees or when I'm having to plan an event, I try to structure from committee, subcommittee to different execution phases of the plan. And so that would give me like a visual representation somewhat of what I want to achieve at the end of the day. And even from there, I'm able to eliminate stuff, right? Because I would see that, oh, that's not really needed. And so when you actually write down stuff, you'll get to evaluate your plan even more. And so you'll be able to plan effectively. It also leads to you being intentional about what you want, because what you record on paper, sorry, you get to be intentional about what you record on paper or on screen. So once you move from the space of it being abstract in your mind and now put it in on paper now, you are being very much intentional, and you'd have taken a very important step, because now you're now in a place to add even more details or be more specific, because there you can even share it with a friend to get feedback about it. And so you can therefore be more effective towards your goal setting. And you also will need to state your goals positively, right? And this is very, very, very important. You have to state it in positive terms, using terms like I will, this is going to, just speaking in confidence or speaking confidently about what you want to achieve, and ensuring that this at the end of the day is something that I really want to achieve. Because when you're positive about it, I think it also contributes to your levels of motivation towards wanting to achieve this particular goal once you set goals that are positive. Recording goals helps you to remember and keep track, and that is important. Antonio just mentioned that just now, because what he remembered was that he usually set the plans or the goals in his mind, and there's sometimes he forgets. But guess what? When you actually put it down on paper, you tend to remember it better or keep track of it somehow, because you're able like to check it off the list, or to just be able to keep track of where you're going, basically. All right. So moving on. So you also should ensure that your goals are placed at an area that is easily seen. So, I mean, some persons will put it on or put it above their beds or at a place where you're always seated at, so you get to remember that these are the goals that I want to achieve. It could be even on your phone. I mean, I see persons put their timetables on their screen. Not saying that's really like goal setting per se, but once they see it on their screen, they'll remember, say, oh, I have this class, I need to attend this class, right? You can even put your goals as a screensaver, right? So that way you get to see it as often as possible, and you'll be reminded that you need to achieve this, you need to work towards this. So this is also an important factor in writing down your goals, putting it somewhere you can see it easily. All right. So we're moving on to making an action plan, right? So we would have talked about setting goals that motivate you, right? We would have talked about writing down the plans. I know we're talking about making an action plan, all right? So as you know, an action plan would be a plan that, I mean, it causes you to create some action or some movement or gets you going, basically. For me, I've been a part of several meetings, and after leaving the meeting, you'll be wondering, like, what's next? And if you look carefully, you'd realize that there's no action plan, and you'd probably think that that meeting was a waste. Because personally, for me, if you leave a meeting without an action plan, it would mean that that meeting would have been a waste of time. That's for me personally, right? But it speaks of the importance of having an action plan because it would propel you towards making a move towards doing what you ought to do in achieving the goal you want to get at. So you have to create the steps that are required to reach the desired outcome. So the steps, I mean, it may not really come to you readily, but if you sit and think about it, you will get to see that these are the steps that you have to make that will help you to achieve these goals. And so once you are able to write down the steps, you would have been in a better place because you realize that, boy, these are what I really need to do to get to the goal. And so at each step, you can also find out or realize what specifically you need to do to ensure that at the end of the day, it is a success, right? So you get also to keep track of the required steps by checking or crossing them off as complete. I don't know about you, but I've done action plans before or checklists per se, and the feeling you get when you're able to cross it off the list is, I mean, it feels amazing. The fact that you are able to set a target, set some steps in place that you need to achieve, and then at the end of the day, being able to cross it off the list, that's a blessing, trust me. And so it's really important because you get to really track how effective your efforts are and if you're really moving towards the goal you want to achieve. It also shows how much progress you're making. So say you're trying to achieve a particular goal and you have 5 steps to take, right? Yes, you've achieved step 1, yes, you've achieved step 2, but imagine when you reach step 3 and that motivation, the fact that you're at step 3, it means that you only have 2 more steps to go. So you now realize that the progress that you're making is actually good. And so you're even more motivated to reach step 4 and 5 because at the end of the day, you'd have been able to see the progress that you're making, which is very, very, very important. And 4, it says that the bigger the goals, the more effective and impactful an action plan can be. Let me read it again. So the bigger the goals, the more effective and impactful an action plan can be, right? So we have some major goals out there, like Milton. Milton would have mentioned achieving a GPA of 3.6, right? But to achieve that, you know that you have to get like top grades in all of your modules, not just one, right? So you know that you have to, at the end of the day, if you're setting an action plan towards that particular goal, you know have to set different action plans or different things that you'll need to do for each module, because at the end of the day, the result of each module, you know, will result or contribute to that GPA. So the bigger the goals are, that's basically what this point is saying. The bigger the goals are, the more impactful and effective an action plan can be, because it will help you to keep track of a lot of things and it will allow you to stay on top of your game. All right? So I've been going a good while. So can I get some feedback from the audience, because I'd want to hear from our comments from persons in the chat, or any feedback? No? Oh, Kimberly Dawkins, totally agree. That's exactly what we use in nursing too. Okay, great. So we have a nursing student that's here. That's great. Thanks for that, Kimberly. Anyone else wants to share or comment? Maybe just one more person. All right. All right, let's move on quickly. We have more exciting presenters to come on board, so let's move on. All right, so this particular technique now is about consistency. So in setting your goals, you now have to ensure that there's consistency towards what you want to achieve, because you can't just start a particular thing today and stop tomorrow, then pick up next week. Basically, that will really not contribute positively to the outcome that you want to achieve. So the first point says that goal setting is an ongoing activity, right? You have to do it constantly, evaluate and try to adjust basically, and you have to be consistent towards what you want to achieve. Secondly, you have to build in constant reminders to keep yourself on track, right? So it's one thing to write it down on paper, it's one thing to even start, but you know have to ensure that you have reminders or things that will hold you accountable to allow you to keep track of what you're doing. Thirdly, every second counts, right? Time will enable the success of your goals. I've said before that time is something that you can't really control. It keeps going, right? So you know have to ensure that you ride that wave of time and ensuring that you are moving positively towards what you want to achieve. And number 4 says that you have to ensure that the relevance or ensure the relevance, value, and necessity of the goal remains high, right? So you have to ensure that the goal that you're achieving, you have to kind of maintain that level of relevance, that value that you had originally, and the necessity, how much it is of a value to you personally, right? How much it is necessary to achieve it in this present time. You have to ensure that that is maintained as much as possible, and that will help you to be very much consistent. And this, I think this is my favorite one out of all the goals, not the goals, sorry, of all the techniques that I would have mentioned. And it is the final technique. It says that you ought to seek help to attain goals, right? I mean, some of us would probably do better working towards our goals on our own, but really and truly, no man is an island. And so we all need help along the way. And so it's important to really try and get some assistance, some kind of support system in place that will help you to be consistent towards the goals you want to achieve. So the first point says that nothing beats teamwork, as it can better guarantee the success of your goals, right? So get a team together, get some persons in your corner that will support the goals that you want to achieve, because at the end of the day, they can provide the help you need. You ought to allow others to aid in attaining your goals, which adds different perspective or valuable perspectives. I am a graphic designer, right? And there's a lot of times I feel, what should I say, not too confident about what I design. So I'll probably get some persons to give me feedback. And at the end of the day, I would have come out with a better appealing design, and I would have been more comfortable about what I would have produced, because I would have sought to gain some valuable perspectives from persons who I trust and look up to, basically. And so at the end of the day, I'm able to produce better work, right? So getting valuable perspectives is good. It may not be the perspectives that you like in terms of, because someone may have a different perspective from you, must also try to value the opinion of others, especially persons who want the best for you and persons who look out for you. All right. So point 3 says that you may ask others to keep you accountable in being consistent in your efforts towards attaining your goals, right? So accountability is very, very important. And so others will help you to stay on the current, on the, I say current, but on the path to success, all right? So ensure that you have persons in your corner that help you to be accountable, all right? And so that's really the end of my presentation. And I thank you all for tuning in and for just being a part of this particular session. If you have any questions, any comments, feel free to share or to comment. I'll just wait 1 minute or 10 seconds to see if
Ravel,
anybody will.
Ravel.
Yes, Alex. Go ahead, Alex.
I was just going to say about your final technique, and especially the whole getting feedback from others is especially good, especially if you think of it from like a business perspective. Because if you plan on doing a business and you're going to sell a particular product, get a particular product out into society, it's good to always get a second opinion, because getting opinions from others, they're the same people you're going to market the product to. So it's always good to get feedback from others so you know exactly what people want.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that, Alex. I saw where you also mentioned that it's good to keep track, especially if you have a lot on your plate separate from what is related to the goal. Right. That's so true. Because I remember one particular semester, I had three different positions balancing plus school. And so it would have been difficult to keep track of all the targets that you need to reach for each of those positions. But guess what? I ensure that I wrote down my goals or my objectives. I ensured that I had a team of persons I could depend on. And so with those things in mind, I would have been able to be consistent and be effective at what I did. Ramar said, very good presentation, Stevenson, excellent and very insightful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Uh, Kimberly says, thanks for this reminder on how to keep on track with reaching my goals. Needed this. Great. That's wonderful. I see Ricardo Jovan asking a question. What's a goal you realize you lost drive for and found a way to repurpose? That's a very interesting question, Ricardo. Um, what goal? I'm trying to. Um, if I should mention college math from first year, that was a very interesting first year because college math, I mean, as you know, it's very it's a module that persons constantly take over, and it's you can just miss the ball at some point in time. And really and truly, it was in my first semester. I was living on dorm for the first time, and the realization of the fact that sleep is a concept and that there are activities every single weekend. And being a freshman, you have to be involved and all of that. And so that realization would have occurred. And so I know would have needed to ensure that, yes, I need to, but guess what? For college math, I ended up getting a what? 50% on the first test, right? Mind you, my goal was that I needed to maintain a certain GPA because I'm on scholarship, right? And so I can't afford for my scholarship to go to go at all because it covered a lot of things that I needed. And so it's a case where as college math specifically at that point in time when I got the 50%, I was so traumatized. And so I really wanted to get back on the ball, right? So as you say, I lost somewhat drive per se towards that target because me I say, oh gosh, me don't know because this module it seems like I'm going to fail it. But I had to say that, boy, since it's the first test because there are two in-course tests and then there's a final test. And so the final test, I think so. But right, so the first test I failed, so I had the opportunity to make up back for the second test. So now I had to kind of just reorganize my what should I say, my approach to the different things that I did on dorm and also in school. So I had to find a way to strike that balance and to ensure at the end of the day that I don't suffer academically. So I had to really get back on the ball, reach out to persons who could help me. I think Kildare, Ricardo, you're one of the persons who helped me in my first year. So thank you so much, sir. So I had to get back on the ball to really ensure that I don't fail that module. And I think in the second test, I got 80-something%. And that was really, that was really an exciting time for me because I was pleased about it and I was thankful that I was able to achieve that. So I hope that answers your question, sir. Winford Facey says, excellent presentation. Danilo Wadsworth, that's not where we wanted you to go. Okay. All right, so wrapping up quickly. You guys can message me afterwards to talk more. So I really thank Mr. Lewis for inviting me to be a part of this presentation today. I trust and hope that you guys benefited and that you'll be able to practically, and I say practically, because we will need now to put things in action towards achieving the goals that we want to achieve. So blessings, everybody, and thanks for tuning in.
All right. Thank you, Robel, for that very, very insightful presentation. But before you go, don't go just yet. Before you go, I'm really interested in finding out who was paying attention. So I have a $200 credit, whether it be Flow or yourself. I want to know when you're talking about setting smart goals. Sorry about that, guys. I want to thank Rovel for that insightful, very insightful presentation. But I want to test who was paying attention. So I'm going to ask, when it comes to setting SMART goals, what does the acronym SMART means? This is for $200 credit, you know, Flow or Digicel. Kimberly Dawkins raised the hand. Go ahead, Kimberly.
Can you hear me?
I can.
So SMART is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that information. That is correct. And our producers will take your information off here and we'll get that credit to you, all right?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So I like the fact that that presentation spoke to being intentional, infused with passion and innovation. Those are a few of the things that I believe that once done correctly, you will achieve your goals. There's no doubt about it. And one of the things that I really took from that presentation is when Rovel asked and Danielle said that she wanted to play the keyboard, but she was specific in how she wanted to play the keyboard. She wanted to play the keyboard fluently. Speak about being specific. That's a part of being smart with your goals. She didn't just want to play the keyboard and nobody would listen. She wanted to be fluent to be able to play. And another thing is that writing your goals down. That is beautiful. I have a book, I don't leave it anywhere. It's currently in my bag with me on set. I don't leave that book. The pages are torn, but I don't leave it because that's where when I have a moment, let's call it a moment, I just take my pen out and I write. So write down your goals. He who reads it will run to it. If I'm not available to run to it, somebody who reads it will run to it. So the next thing is the fact that you should be aligned with time. And this is what my next presenter will speak about. I really chose this presenter because I always say that I want to be as busy as he is. That's something that I said from last semester. He's very busy. But at the same time, he seems to have a handle on everything. So to introduce our next presenter, I'm going to ask Matthew Yu to introduce our next presenter for us, please.
Good afternoon. Jeremy Anderson is a final year food and beverage student at the University of Technology, Jamaica. He is currently the Vice President Public Relations and Student Union Council for the academic year 2020 to 2021. Jeremy Anderson is a multi-talented individual who specializes in culinary arts, photography, and public speaking. Jeremy is a powerful force in the workplace and uses a lot of his time to build his team members. Jeremy, in his free time, enjoys photographing birds, cooking, reading, and researching. I present to you Mr. Jeremy Anderson.
Oh, hi everybody. How you doing? Hello, hello. Thank you very much for the introduction, Matthew. And thank you very much for having me here today. It is wonderful to be here today. How is everybody doing? Can just let me know in the chat. I hope everybody is doing well. Rovel did speak a lot on what I was going to talk on today, so I'll just run through everything. So here's what we're going to do. So throughout the presentation, I want everybody to at least pay attention. If you have a question, feel free to raise your hand. If you can wait until the end of the Q&A section, that'd be good so we can have a conversation there. But if it's a burning thing, you want to stop me and ask a question right on that point, just raise your hand. You can also use the chat feature as well. And let's go and dive into the presentation. All right. I'm waiting for the hosts to give me the co-host feature so I can share the screen. So until then, so it was a very good presentation, Novel. I must say I enjoyed it a lot. Habakkuk 2:2, something that I live by as well. Write the vision and make it play. Getting that into that shortly. So it's how is everybody dealing with Corona so far? Just one person until we start with the technical issue. Everybody, I'm guessing everybody's okay so far. No issues with Corona. Everybody's doing well. All right. Our producers looked at me a while ago and said that I should call some individuals, but no, I'm going to allow you to just freely express yourselves when you want to. All right, so we're going to dive into the presentation. I promise I won't be long. I'm just checking everyone is seeing my screen, right? Great, lovely. Right, so as Jason said, I'm an individual who I do a lot of things. I try to keep myself occupied and try to always be learning and stuff like that. And one of the things that has helped me over the years is that I've had to try to manage my time. I wouldn't want to say manage my time, but I want to say maximize my time, because somebody in a presentation once, I don't remember which presenter I was looking at, he said, you really can't manage time. Time slips away. So you can't control, you can't pause time. That would be cool if we would pause time or reverse time or look into the future. But what we can do definitely is to maximize the 1,440 minutes we have each day. And we're going to dive into that. So, hold on. Right now. So I want to look at, gone too far. It's too far in the presentation. Ooh. All right. So here we go. Now, time management, it's basically the part of this definition that I really like, and I want everybody to take away from this. It says time management is a process of organizing, planning, how to divide your time between specific activities. And the key point I want everybody to focus on, it says how you divide your time between specific activities. And that is very crucial. For if you follow most of the business leaders overseas or most of the Fortune 500 top billionaires in the world, you'll realize that their schedules are down to the hour, down to the minute. So they'll say at between 7 and 8, I'm doing this. Between 9 and 10, I'm at this meeting. Between 1 and 2, I'm here. And if you can get to that point, I can tell you it is not easy. Even for someone like myself, I am still trying to get to that point. But you have to practice it day in and day out. But that's where we really want to go. And as Grovel made mention in setting, it's part of your goal setting process. If you can break up your goals into smaller pieces, and then you say, for today, for me to achieve this goal, I need to do this particular task, and you get that off, you're now one step closer to achieving that specific goal that you need to do. So I'm going to show you some steps going down what you can do and how you can maximize on this. Now, the general problem for us is that we don't know how to organize what we need to do each day, each week, each month, and each year. So that's generally what our problem is overall. I was listening to Jim Ron this morning, and he was saying that you should not start the day until you have completed all the tasks that you need to do for the day. And you should do the same for the week, the month, or the year. And what does he mean by that? You should not start the day until you have listed out all the goals and tasks that you want to accomplish for that day. So that's something that's very important where you can look at as well. So that's generally our problem. We need to figure out how can we organize ourselves better and to achieve our goals. Now, why is it important that we learn to maximize our time? One, you have limited time, meaning that there are only 24 hours in a day, 1,440 minutes in a day, and for at least 6 or 8 hours you're sleeping. So you realize that you have around 16 hours playing with to accomplish all your goals that you have set for that particular day. So you have limited time, so you need to manage that time wisely. You also if you're managing your time properly, you can accomplish more with less effort. So you're not running all over the place wondering, oh, I need to do this. Oh, I forgot something. I'm supposed to do something today. No, what am I supposed to do again? You minimize all of those because you have a structured system you're following. So you're looking, oh, I've done this already. I've done this. Okay, great. It helps you to make better decisions because you're now breaking things up into smaller sections and portions, because you have now worked out what your end goal is. As Rovel mentioned at the end goal, you have already worked out all the steps you need to do to achieve that end goal. So it helps you to make better decisions. Also, you become successful in your career. So for those persons who are currently working and, for persons who will be going out in their careers or even doing their business or launching the business, you become more successful because you're now working towards your goal on a daily basis. So, and there's something for persons to remember. It's not a goal until you have written it down. As long as you have it in your brain or in your imagination, it's just a wish or a dream. But the minute you start to write, you write it down, now it becomes a goal. Now it becomes something that, you can achieve and you can work on to achieving. Also, it's important to manage your time because it reduces your stress level, meaning that you're not frustrated, you have a clear sense of where you want to go, the direction that you want to take, and the things that you must do. For a lot of persons, you realize that today they get up and I never remember this assignment due. Oh, geez, and you start going to this hyper state where your cortisol levels are through the roof. And everybody who knows, cortisol is not very good for your body, so you want to minimize that hormone. And then what you also realize is that if you plan your days to the T, you'll have more free time. Some people even plan their free time, so they know that, listen, if I get all my stuff done for the day at 8 o'clock, do not call me, do not text me, do not anything, because that is my Netflix time. That is my time to cook my dinner or be with family, be with friends, playing my dog. You decide what your leisure activities are. But what you realize, you have more free time because you're now working efficiently. Now, what skills do we need in order to be great managers of time? Organization, prioritization, goal setting, communication, planning, and help management. Those are some of the top ones that I found while doing my research last night. And when we say organization, we want to think of, you want to have a clear picture, as I mentioned before. You want to have a clear idea of what you need to complete and when you need to complete it. So organization is self-explanatory. And next thing I want everybody to is you need to learn how to prioritize. For some individuals like myself, I prioritize based on time. Some persons prioritize based on how long the task is going to be. So some persons know that for me, when I wake up in the mornings, I'm fresh. So sometimes it's a good time to tackle some of the most difficult tasks because my brain is fresh, it's firing. Than if I left it later in the day when I'm no, I'm tired and it's hard to complete. But you have to work out that based on what you're writing down. So for me, mostly it's time, because a lot of the tasks I have to complete is time sensitive. Or some persons, they do a combination of both. So, but the key takeaway, you have to prioritize. You don't want to be wasting time doing something that is not important. You can't have an assignment that's due 1 o'clock, and it's now 9 p.m. or what assignment that's due 1 a.m. and it's 9 p.m. and you are doing some other tasks and you have not completed the assignment. In that case, assignment first, then the other task, right? So you have to learn to prioritize, and you generally get better at this the more you start planning your day specifically. Ravel made mention of goal setting. I really don't think I need to say anything there, but it's just very important that you set your goals and you have an idea what you're working towards. It also helps with your clarity as well. Also, one thing I want to make mention of when you start working for persons, I think Romario can make mention, and I realize Steven is here. When you're working in an organization, communication between team members is absolutely critical. And your team members, especially if you're working in a team or you're managing a team, you have to communicate with team members. And one thing Rovel also made mention that I have here as well is that you have to learn to delegate. Some tasks that you want to complete, you cannot do it on your own. And I'm saying it and I'm speaking it to myself, because you cannot achieve everything that you want to achieve on your own. It is virtually impossible. At some point in time, you're going to reach a point where you're going to need team members. You're going to need friends. You're going to need family. So you have to develop the skill of delegating. Trust me, it is something hard for me, because growing up, I've always worked alone. And then I've started the delegating process once, and then it never worked up to my standards. So I'm going to say, here what? Me just sort of start the things on myself. But being a union now, it is so hard to do things on your own, because you have a lot of responsibilities, and you have to start saying, here what? For the unnecessary things, here what? I'm going to get somebody to do that. I'm going to get somebody to write the letters and stuff like that. Also, when I say delegate as well, everyone has a unique set of skills. For myself, I am not a great, I would say, person who say orator, right? What I have to do, I have to find somebody else who they write really, really well. So I have to get them to do that part of the work for me. So I give them the skeleton of what I want to say, or a base of what I want to say, and they know just go in and put up their nice little words and fanjangles and all these things. Yeah. So you have to learn to do those stuff in order to get to your dream sometimes, which are very, very big. You need a team. Even Jesus himself had a team. He had 12 disciples. And then the next thing you want to do, you want to plan. When I say plan, plan till your week. Plan. It is absolutely critical. For me, what I try to do, and I'm trying to practice more and more, I try to plan so for me, like for Sunday, I try to plan it from Saturday. So when I wake up in the morning, I know exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm not getting up and saying, oh, I'm going to do this today. And when I get up, first thing, bathroom, breakfast, devotion, prayer. That's generally outline of my day. And then whatever the main task is. So that is something that you want to do. Planning, write the vision, make it plain. It feels like a Sunday morning service. Write the vision and make it plain. It's very, very important that you plan. And the last thing I wanted to make mention as well, when you're doing all this management of, you're managing your time and etc., you want to consider your health. It is very, very critical. You don't want to be losing sleep, a lot of sleep. You want to ensure that you're resting, because that is critical to brain functions. You want to ensure that you're eating right. You want to ensure that you are, connecting with your friends, your family. So maximizing time, also maximize or find time or somewhere in your schedule to ensure you're doing those other things. Ensure you reward yourself for completing the task for the day. That's very important in keeping a balance in your life. So those are the skills. And I want to, how can I improve on that now? So how can I be a good manager of time? Set short-term and long-term goals. And what do I mean by that? Short-term goals, it depends. Some person's short-term goals may be a day, some may be a week, a year, for some people, and some people may have long-term goals. It's very important, and Rovel made mention of, it being smart, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So you want to ensure that you set goals in that manner. For me, another thing, you have to manage your calendar. I didn't know I would reach this point in my life, but you have to learn to manage a calendar. When I say calendar, I mean, for a person, you must have an idea what Google Calendar is, and stuff like that. You have to learn to manage that. That's my personal friend, my personal assistant. Google, we have a daily conversation. That sounds like I don't have a social life, but we have a daily conversation with Google. As well, and you have to learn to manage your calendar. So Google, my virtual assistant manages my calendar for me and schedules my meeting, remind me about assignment and stuff like that. Also, if you come back, it's here again, you need to prioritize your tasks. Do the important things first. So while doing your writing up your daily plan, you should know what the important things are, ensure that those are done first, and then your lesser things, if like, so you won't feel guilty at the end of the day, oh, I didn't complete this. All right, so for me, in this technological day and age, there are certain apps that I use, and it keeps me on track. You heard me mention a while ago Google Calendar and Google Assistant. Those are free for persons who use Apple. You have Siri for persons who use Samsung. You have Bixby, etc. So having that, I'll advise persons to utilize it a lot, especially if you're into tech. For me, it's easier because I can access my schedule wherever I am in the world. If somebody say, oh, if I'm on the street and somebody say, oh, I wanted to do something for me, I say, hold on, let me check my schedule. Okay, Google, what do I have on Thursday? And Google will respond, oh, you have this? Yeah. So all of those nice stuff. So it helps me to keep on track. So that's my daily driver in terms of, what I do using my virtual assistant for that. So here are some of my favorites. As I said, mentioned before, virtual assistant. And yes, guys, I know some of these are not apps. But what I mentioned for my laptop as well, I have a sticky note. So if it's a case where I'm talking to someone, I'm on my laptop, I'm far away from my phone, I just drop it on a sticky note and then I convert it. Sometimes I move it to Google, but my sticky notes are always up. So that's something that you want to do. I also use a note app on my phone as well, to like when I'm going shopping and stuff like that, to save time when I'm in the store. Because one of the worst things you can do to waste time is going through the supermarket aisle by aisle, looking at each item to determine what you want. You'd be surprised how fast you go in and out of a supermarket when you have a list. The next thing I want to make mention is I have a whiteboard. So I'm an old school fan. So I actually have a whiteboard. Hold on, let me show you guys. I'm not sure if you guys can see it on the screen, but this is my whiteboard. It's also one of my daily drivers as well. So I divide it into like 4 sections. So you have like weekly goals. Then I have like my task list, and I have my school reminders as there, because those are the key areas. And then I have like what I want to achieve for the semester in the corner, especially for school. It's like, academic grades, and I have like A for all modules and stuff like that. And it's a daily reminder for me. And below this, I have something called union goals. So like I remind myself like what my manifesto is, what I need to do for the day, what I need to do for the week. So that's something that I have. So this whiteboard is also critical for me. It's like right beside my laptop, so I can glance at it a lot, and I update it every now and again. Well, at least every day. Sometimes I do it weekly, but sometimes I use it daily as well. But as I said before, I wasn't always like this. I had to learn, and even like I'm still practicing because I'm not perfect. Because as I said before, sometimes I even forget to update some of these things. But I mean, practice becomes perfect, and that's something you have to strive for. Also, another daily driver, as I said, I'm old school. So if you walk into my room, you'll see me. I'll have a lot of notepads everywhere, a lot of sticky notes everywhere, stuff like that. Also, I keep a journal type, a diary or a book. And like as Ravel said, write the vision and make it plain. Well, you're not seeing it as so much light, but there's a full list, 2 pages that's written out with everything that I need to achieve and all the things that I need to do, etc. And then for the apps now, really apps now. So as I mentioned before, Google Calendar, my main driver. it's what I use in and out, and it reminds me, like emails, send me emails, or send me reminders. It checks if I finished the item. So that's something that I use a lot. And the next thing that I use mostly too these days, it's Google Keep Notes. So, and I think for Apple, it's called Notes or Notepad, something like that. So I use that as well because it's right there, because I tend to always have my phone on me. So that helps to keep me organized. So those are my two main apps. You have some other apps that are there. Some people use app for studying that, blocks out the phone so that they can just focus on one task. Some persons use some other productivity app for like exercising. So you have different forms of apps that you can use. But these are the ones that I've used or are currently using right now. All right, so that's basically the end of my presentation. I promise you I won't be long, but I definitely want to hear from you. Like, what are your struggles that you might be having? What are the challenges that you might be having? So let's have a conversation around that. Oh, so 3 persons. I want to take it from 3 persons. So you can just raise your hand or unmute your mic. So like whatever challenges or what you want to find out more, all of that. Right, and Miss Holness is here. Hi, Miss Holness. Hi, Mom. So you want to work, she said, work harder, work smarter and not harder. That's critical. You definitely don't want to be doing, stuff working yourself to the dirt. Just learn to work smarter and use technology. It can assist you. Use persons around you to help you complete tasks and you can get more stuff done. So definitely work smarter, not harder. How much money you save to, right, and how much money you save to, Mr. Francis, I don't know if males do it too, but for females as well, the little window shopping, you're walking around, it's like, oh, that look cute, I'm going to buy, and you don't need it. So when you go out, you say, this is what I want to buy, this is what I'm going to spend, and you just walk. For me, when I just walk straight, I don't look at anything, I'm picking up this, and I'm out. So definitely, thank you very much for that, Mr. Francis. Yes, Chave, that is, yes. Starting is a challenge. I know I need to schedule and plan, write things down, etc. But to get started is an issue. All right. So I think when I started to do this, it's a matter of don't try to plan the whole day. Start small, because what tends to happen is that we get scared or we get fearful of trying to plan the whole day. It's like, oh, we never do this before. How am I going to plan the whole of my day? What is it supposed to look like? So start small. So try to plan within an hour or, within 2 hours. And you gradually you start to realize that you're stepping it up, So don't try, and this goes for any task that you're doing overall. Try to break it down or try to start it small, because looking at it from a big picture and trying to say, oh, you've never done this before, and you get up and you want to plan the whole year, you're not going to do it. Trust me. So try to start it small. Start with just an hour, then you move up to 2 hours and say, oh, so in this hour, I'm going to cook, and I must finish between 1 hour, right? And within the next couple of hours, I'm going to do this, and then what you want to do is that once you start doing that, you generally get better and better over time, and you start realizing that, oh, I can plan a day now easy, then I move up to 2 days, and I move 3 days, and you get the snowball effect happening. Right. So I have one more, Mr. Francis. Mr. Francis, I'll just read the last comment because we're really out of time. So Mr. Francis saying in the chat also he loves how I mentioned the use of the apps, different operating systems or different apps that integrate with each other. Like Gmail integrates with Google to keep, which integrates with Calendar and Google Assistant and makes planning and time management much easier. I love the suggestion. Right. So for me as a Google, as an Android individual, as Mr. Francis mentioned, it's integrated right across. So I can sync my meetings with notes. I can sync what I'm doing from notes to my email, from my email to my calendar. So it makes everything seamless. And then my laptop as well is also synced in. So it reminds me of my laptop, reminds me of my phones, so stuff like that. So you can find those stuff. That's what works for me. Something might work for you as well. Some persons might writing down stuff. So you just have to find what works for you. So I just want to thank you guys for listening. It's a pleasure being here. And if you need to reach out to me, you can reach out to me on any other social platforms, or you can message me at any time. So at Jeremy_V2 on Instagram, and you can reach out to me. Well, that's on most platforms, so you'll find me there. But thank you guys. I wish you all the best. Please keep safe. I'm praying for all your health. And love you all. And thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jeremy. And to show you how this man maximizes time, to show you how this man maximizes time, he has the day down to the minutes. How many of you does that? How many of you do that actually? I don't. So I think this presentation was more about being as busy as Jeremy, as I always wanted to be. All right. So I think he spoke to something that really, I see someone put in the chat, say it draped them. Is the fact that you cannot achieve everything on your own. I like to learn. So if I have a situation that needs my attention and someone is not pulling the weight that I want, I learn it and do it myself. But I felt draped when he said that too. However, let me go ahead and pay someone DigiLoan. I have another question, and this question is about the presentation that Jeremy just did. What are 5 of the skills that he mentioned that he uses in his time management? This is for another $200 credit. Will it be Flo or Digicel, or producers will get your information? Let's go with those answers. Oh, Jeremy says he's adding another 200. So that's 500, Jeremy? Oh, that's 400. That's a $400 credit. Will it be Flo or Digicel? What are some of the skills that he mentioned in his presentation? I just want 5. What are 5 skills that he mentioned in his presentation that he uses to maximize his time? Let's see what's going on in the chat. Anybody? Do we have the answer in the chat? No? Let me go with the question again, because this is $400 credit. You know, this can pay someone's DigiLoan twice, actually. So what are some of the skills, 5 skills that Jeremy mentioned in his presentation that he uses to maximize his time? All right, I see Kiana, James. Let me see those chat. Ajay needs Flow credit. Kiana says using apps, writing down minutes, having a whiteboard. Not quite. Joel, you're onto it, but I wanted 5. Marsha Hole. Hi, Miss Holness. How are you? Welcome. Organize, plan, goal setting, communication, and health management. That's the correct answer. Miss Holness, or producer will take your information off air and we'll get that credit to you as soon as possible. So these 2 topics that we discussed earlier, you realize they go hand in hand, pretty much they're tied together. Our next presenter is someone I believe who understands these 2 techniques to the T. I've only seen him on Instagram. I know he plans event, he executes event. it was what urged me, because as a planner or a event manager myself, I know the rigors of time management. I know the rigors of goal setting, and goal setting in event management takes years, 6 months, years. It takes a lot of time, and execution is time management, time management, time management. So this person, I believe that he is actually the best person to speak about how he gets his job done. The fact that he cannot do it by himself, the fact that he has to reach out to persons to get things done or help him to get things done. So to introduce our next speaker, we're going to ask Ajay Richards. Ajay, go ahead and please introduce our next speaker.
Good morning, everyone. The life of Tevon S. Small personifies resilience. He's a conscientious and patriotic leader who believes that the greatest revenge is success. He currently holds a Bachelor of Business Administration in Accounting and Economics from the University of Technology, Jamaica. Tevon has experienced the pleasure of governing and building fellow youth, and has served on the board of directors of the UTEC JA Accounting Seminar, as well as the UTEC JA Students Union. His journey continues with the birth of Epic Entertainment Group, a company focused on cultural preservation through entertainment. Since its inception, Epic Group has provided employment to upwards of 40 youths. Today, he also serves as Youth Member of Parliament for Southwest St. Andrew. There are not enough words to describe his journey to date, but as a Jamaican citizen, he has made it his duty to be a part of the a change that empowers our youth to become better versions of themselves. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Tevon Small.
Thanks. You hear me? You hear me?
Yes, man, live.
Thanks for inviting me to the forum. The introduction made me sound like some top man. I understand. I really respect that. So for me, when you reach out to me and ask me to share on networking, I was saying that even though the time is short in terms of time period to prepare the presentation, I think it was right in my ballpark. So I said, all right, then let's give it a shot. All right, and I decided to prepare a small presentation for you guys. Please note, right? Please note, are you seeing my screen? All right. However, please note that I am no networking expert, and the information that I'll be sharing is merely from a personal standpoint, in a sense, right? So it is from my own experience and my own understanding of what networking is, and my own, what you said now, knowledge of networking. So the topic that they asked me to share on is what is the importance of networking. However, to understand what is the importance of networking, we must first understand what is networking, or what is a network, right? And the Oxford Dictionary would have defined a network as a group or system of interconnected people or things, right? So since I said that I'm going to give you from my perspective, we'll go a step further and say a network is a group of interconnected people who shares a common interest or goal and adds value to each other, whether directly or indirectly. And the final part of that, the latter part of the statement is very important. Adds value to each other, whether directly or indirectly. And as we go on, you will get an understanding of why I said that part of the statement is very important. So to understand the importance of networking, you must try to understand how do you build your network, right? So if you Google how do you build your network, it will tell you that give before you receive, focus on the right people, become a connector, start your own networking group, yada, 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 yada. But for me, to build your network, you must first build yourself. Building your network starts with building yourself. Your work, knowledge, skill sets, and resource will bring people to you and make connecting with people easier, right? And I'll use myself as an example. As I said, I am an event planner, an event producer, right? So during my time on the Students' Union, I served on the Students' Union as Director of Entertainment for 2 years. And during my time, one of the things that my team, even now, Epic Group, my directors will tell that in our meetings, I will tell them that in every event that we produce, it must be of industry standard. So our work must be of industry standard. We must always try to increase our knowledge of what is operating in the space. So we must try to always be on top of the new trends, the new know-hows and the technologies within the space, right? And I always try to improve my skill sets or people around me, improve their skill set, right? So once you are producing the right work, or the industry standard work, I believe that once you're producing the industry standard work, right, and you have the right skill sets and resources, this will bring people to you and making connecting with people even easier. So like for some persons, they are introverts. So you won't find them going to a network event trying to know people. Hey, I'm John Tom and I'm this and that and that. And this and that and the third. However, if this person is putting out the work and the quality work that persons see and want to get to know them, those persons will come and want to network with them in a sense. So connecting with people will become easier. So you need to work on yourself. And earlier, the presenters before me spoke on goal setting, right? Write down the goal. So in building your network, you must have direction, know where you want to go and set goals and build your network accordingly. All right. So for me, I want to become the best entertainment, the best event producer in the island in years to come. Right. So I'm going to align myself with industry leaders. So I have aligned myself with people like Scott Dunn, PJ Wright, right? These people are industry leaders. So these people, I can reach out to them and get an understanding of what is happening in the space and learn from them. While during my time on the Students' Union, I was able to add value to them, to their network at the same time, because they wanted to reach to the students or university populace, and I was that medium, right? So you have to set the goals and align yourself with the people who are going, align yourself and build your network accordingly. So if you want to become an entertainment producer like myself, it doesn't really make sense you build network with the engineers and the doctors in a sense, because those persons won't add value to you directly, right? You won't learn a lot from them because you don't really know anything about it. You aren't really interested in engineering or medicine, right? So then we're going to look at the structure of the network, right? You are the center of your network, right? Then you have, in a network, you have value adders. So I like to define these people as persons within a network who brings direct value, who brings direct value to members of the network. And also you have referral points. People are called referral points, or just contacts. Persons connected to your network but does not add direct value and may or may not act as a connector to other networks. So with that said, referral points, even though they don't add direct value to you, they in a sense are important to the network just the same, because they have the capacity to maybe connect you to value others. So for argument's sake, let us take this structure, for example, right? I am in the entertainment industry. So this diagram here I am in the entertainment industry, right? A referral point, I went to community college in Brownstown, and we, in our third year, we came to Kingston to finish the final 2 years, right? So in my network, I will have value adders and I will have referral points. So due to the fact that I would have set my goals and said, I want to be an entertainment producer, I want to be an event producer. A lot of the persons who I came to Kingston with, none of them are interested in that, but they are still a part of my network. Or if I want to align myself with persons who share the same interests and goals as me, they want to be entertainment producers as well. So as I said before, I would have aligned myself with industry leaders, like for instance, a Scott Dunn or a Andre Swaby, right? Andre Spalding, sorry. So the referral points in this will be my friends from community college. They have no interest in entertainment. They simply just want to go up the corporate ladder, yada, yada, right? They're still a part of my network, but they are not value adders. So how you use your value adders, in a sense, is that you, as we would have said earlier, your value adders are able to connect you to other value adders. So your referral points are able to connect you to other value adders. So take for example, I want to keep an event. I know a certain set of persons. However, I want to reach to an artist. I want to reach to squash, for argument's sake. I have a friend from Montego Bay. Even though he's not interested in entertainment at all, he's still a part of my network. I can reach out to him. He have a link to squash, right? He doesn't add any direct value to squash because he's not interested in entertainment at all. But squash know him. He's a referral point to squash, and he's a referral point for me. So I can link him and say, yo, you know, so more connect with squash because more keep an event, and squash can add direct value to me. I can add direct value to me in that squash can help me to get patrons to my event, and I can give him money, pay him for his performance. So the referral point in that sense would have connected me to squash, which is the value adder in that sense, and me to squash, me being a value adder, being that I would have paid him for his services. So a lot of, one of the things that we can look at is that referral points is that person in the network sometimes who they don't have the skill sets, right? But when you say you have to build on yourself to build a network, is that they don't have the skill sets to capitalize on the opportunities that their network would have presented. Because for my referral point or my contact, he's not interested in entertainment at all. He has no knowledge of entertainment. He only know me and he knows squash. So he's not directly adding any value to us, right? However, being a referral point, I can reach out to him and get to squash and keep my event. So we need these people still in our network, in a sense, right? So with that said, you need to. So with that said, spending time with your value adders increases your value. So for argument's sake, when I went to university, I wanted to become a part of the student union. I wanted to become an event producer. So I wanted to align myself with people and groups that will add value to me. So I know that it will be very important, it will be of utmost importance that I join the students union, because this would be a medium towards reaching to persons within my industry that can add value to me, persons who can educate me, persons who can help me to build my network. So I will get to know more DJs, I will get to know more production companies, people in media, for so on and so on, right? And in the same breath, we can say, so when I spend more time with the value adders, I increased my value. So in the same breath, we can also say spending too much time with referrals or contacts can decrease your value by taking away time that should be used to fuel your craft. All right. I come to university, me want to become an event producer, but I still have my friend from Crunch who have no interest in entertainment at all. But I am interested in entertainment. I love entertainment. I want to keep events. But these persons have no interest in entertainment. But due to the fact that I want to maintain my friendship with them. Every day me come to school and them me a link with, them me a link with, them me a link with. So I would have spent no time. So I would go on union. Right? So in a sense, so I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to connect with the value others in the industry that I want to be a part of, because I would have spent all my time with my referral points or contacts, right? So so the key takeaways from the network structure is that you are the center. If you are not the center of your network, it is not your network. So you can't be a part of somebody. You can't be the center of someone else's network. You are only a value adder, or you are a referral point / contact, right? And within your network, you are the center, and everyone else is either a value adder or they are a referral point. So, and then you now will choose whether you now must choose whether you spend most of your time with your value adders or your referrals. So for me, I would say the advantages of being in a network: your network can increase your financial net worth, and vice versa. Your network gives you influence. Influence gives you power, and power increases your value, right? So we're saying that in order to build your network, you must build yourself first. And we're going to use MJ for example. MJ, for those who don't know, is Usain Bolt's manager and his longtime friend, childhood friend. So being a friend of Usain Bolt, right, already gives him influence, right? And the influence that you would have gotten gives him power, and the power increases his value, right? However, even though MJ is a part of Usain Bolt's network, that doesn't automatically say that he's an value adder to Usain Bolt. So what he had to do was he went back to school, in a sense, or not necessarily went back to school, but learned about sports management, right? Educated himself in that way, in that field, so that he can now connect with Usain Bolt as a value adder in Usain Bolt's network, because I am pretty sure he wasn't the only person who grew up with Usain Bolt, but he was one of the few who were able to gain or to become value adders, because he went, got the requisite skills and knowledge, right? Became his manager. With that influence, he got the power of managing the world's fastest man, and that in turn increases his value, whether that be his public image and even his net worth, his financial net worth, because he would have gotten his own commissions from being the manager of the world's fastest man, right? So you always need to work on yourself to capitalize on the opportunities that your network will give you, right? And if you're not capitalizing, if you're not improving on yourself, you can't capitalize on the opportunities, because you will be a mere referral and not a value adder. Also, you being a part of a network you will always be in the know, right? So we say that once you're in a network, you will always know what is happening in the industry. The quickest, you will know first what is happening in the industry. You know what is going to happen in the industry. You will be abreast of the new developments, so on and so forth. Because, for example, for me, long before the sixth concert, I'll use myself as reference again. Long before the sixth concert got publicly announced that it will be cancelled, I knew weeks before that it will be cancelled, right? Because you are within the network, so you will have the first-hand information. You will have information that other persons don't have, right? So you will always be in the know, presented with more opportunities on which to capitalize, but you must position yourself to capitalize, right? So that is an advantage. You'll be presented with more opportunities. However, you must position yourself to capitalize on these opportunities. With that, you can use the same MJ and Usain Bolt scenario as an example. If MJ went back and gotten the requisite certifications and knowledge and skill sets to manage the world, to manage a sports personality, he wouldn't have been able to capitalize on this opportunity. And in turn, Bolt would have just gone off and seek some other international manager who's already established and all of that. And MJ would have just been a mere referral point in Usain Bolt's network, right? And not necessarily a value adder. And with that said, I always say your maybe it's outlandish in a sense to say so, but I say your net worth determines your network and not your network determines your network. With that I mean the value of one's skills. So your net worth is the value of one's skills, knowledge, and resources. And you know your resources can be your money, right? So your financial resources. So the value of one's skills, knowledge, resources in a network, this value will then add/attract other persons or connects in your network. And it is this value that you possess that will determine whether your position in a network, whether you are a value adder or a referral point. So you need to build upon yourself. And in building upon yourself, your skills and your knowledge and your resources, i.e. building your network, building your net worth, right, will put you in the position to be a referral point, to be a value adder in a network, right? And it's your position in the network that will determine if you will be able to capitalize on the opportunities. Because if you are a mere referral point, again, you won't be able to capitalize on the opportunities that this network is giving you. Because for instance, you have persons in the entertainment industry now, they are connected to every artist in the industry. They are connected to every event producer. They are connected to every media personnel. However, they don't have the requisite skills to capitalize on this network that they're a part of. They don't have any, they can't plan an event, they can't produce a rhythm, they can't manage an artist, so they can't capitalize on these on the opportunities that the network is producing. However, if I am in the industry, for argument's sake, and I would have acquired the requisite knowledge to plan an event, to build a rhythm, to produce a song, to market a song, and I have this network, I will instantly become a value adder in this network, in that I am adding value to the players in this network or the connects in this network, and they can add value to me because I can keep an event and the artist can come perform, I can pay him, and he will come to my event and perform at my event, and me have a full stadium and I benefit also, right? So with that said, we can answer now the question in that, what is the importance of networking? Networking forces you to improve yourself, thus improve your circle of people by adding/attracting more value adders then in return will place you in a position to increase your knowledge. Because if you're in the network, you are working on yourself, you're gaining the requisite skills and knowledge, you will definitely become a value adder. Persons will want you to be a part of their network as a value adder, because they'll see you as a value adder. You will add value to them, and they will add value to you, right? This will then increase your access to greater opportunities and information. Again, if you're not improving upon yourself and things, persons are just going to discard of you. And so I would say in the definition is that referral points are highly disposable persons. These are contacts, because if my referral point already gotten me connected to the value adder that I wanted the referral point to connect me with, I don't need the referral point anymore, because they can't add any value to me, right? So me know one brother will know the artist or know the production company that I want to connect with, right? To add value to my event and me add value to their finances. I don't need, once I have connected with this value adder, I don't necessarily need the referral point again. So what you find is that if you're not improving upon your skills and knowledge and so on and so forth, that will leave you as a mere referral point or contact. And as we know in our phone, sometimes we have some people in our phone, time they them just we just delete them number. We get rid of them. So referral points / contacts are highly disposable people. So you want to always be improving upon yourself and increasing your skill sets and knowledge so that you can be a value adder at all times and not a mere referral point. And we'll say that most importantly, this will improve your net worth. So once you're in the network, you're improving yourself, you're a value adder. Person see you as a value adder, you see them as a value adder. You will always be in the know, you will always get the requisite information, you will always get the opportunities and be able to capitalize on them because you have the skill set, you have the know-how, and you have the resources, right? This in turn will improve your net worth. And I like to define net worth as not only your financial resource, but also not only your financial resource, but also your skill sets, your knowledge, and your know-how. And that's the end, it seems. Yes. So, any questions?
Come on, guys. Let's ask some questions. Let's be engaging in this one. I really like that presentation. Go ahead.
Yeah, man, I have a question. Mr. Small. Yeah, man. Some persons, especially at the university stage, don't necessarily see the value of networking, and specifically even on hall. What I guess specifically to Durham students would you say about that?
All right. Networking is very important when you're a university student, especially if you're not from a well-off background. In that, as I said in the presentation, you won't, if you're not in a network in class, when you would have graduated, not in class, but when you would have graduated from university, if you're not in a network, when you would have graduated from university, you have no one to call on, no one knows you. So it will be far more difficult for you to acquire employment, right? Because as we said, the opportunities will first be presented to persons in the network, right? And if you are not a part of the network, you can't capitalize on the opportunities, even though you might have the skill sets. But the person in the network, he have the skill set. They might not even have all the skill sets like you, but they are in the network. They are always going to get the opportunities before you. So it is very important that you connect with people while at university. So the days of when you're at high school, your mother say, the body go mix something good, nobody Europe and come back, you go to school and come up. The same doesn't work at university, right? You need to connect with people. You need to interact with people. And if you're not doing so, you will be in trouble when it comes to gaining employment because you will always be the last to know and you won't be able to capitalize on the opportunities presented through the network.
Thank you very much for that question, Romario. A question in the chat, Mr. Small. It says, have you ever had a connection that you were depending on and it fell through? And how did you cope?
All right. In life, that happens, right? And again, it really goes back to your value, right? You might see yourself as having a great value, but the person you were trying to connect with, they don't see that value in you, right? They don't see that value in you. So that connection, again, will break down. So that person in their network, you are just a mere referral point or just a mere contact. So what you just need to do is just go back to the drawing board, work on self, develop yourself, continue learning, and maybe in the future you maybe not even need to try to connect with that person, but they will try to come and connect with you.
Very good, very good. I personally have a question for you because given that you are, in my view, you're a force in the entertainment industry. Um, I've I've seen your work in a sense in college jamboree and stuff like that. But I know it wasn't easy being where you are now, finding that network. How hard was it to find that network to meet with that Scott Dunn? Because they didn't know you. They didn't know you before. How did it? How did that come about?
All right. Again, we speak about your referral points, right? And your referral points and people in your network. People in your network who maybe are not value others, but they are referral points. And that is basically how I met Scott Dunn. What happened was that while as entertainment director, I would have met a person and he wanted me to post some flyers for him and thing on the entertainment page. And I wasn't necessarily interested in posting other person's event on the university's page. So even though I didn't post those stuff, I didn't throw away the contact. You need the contact / referral point. And in still continue talking with the person and thing, I realized that I started a live series in the summer on Instagram. And I realized that the person works at Dream Entertainment. So him being a referral point for me, I reached out to him and said, hey, you know what, I'm doing this thing and I want to connect with Scott Dunn for him to come and share on the platform, yada, yada, yada. And Scott Dunn went on the page because of the work that we were doing on our page. And he went on the page, he said that he liked what he's seen, he liked the program, he likes the information that is being shared, and he came on board. And that's how I connected with a Scott Dunn. So through a referral point, I was able to connect with a Scott Dunn. But a Scott Dunn wouldn't have connected with me if we weren't doing the work on our own for him to see interest or have any reason to connect with us.
Thank you very much for answering that question. I really enjoyed your presentation, but what I want to do now is really see how engaged the audience is in your presentation. So Mr. Small referred to 3 things that he used to build his network, or 3 things that were important in building his network. Is there anyone out there who wants $200 credit and wish to tell me one of the first thing that he mentioned that he did in building his network? First thing, it's a $200 credit, whether flow or digital. Anyone in the chat? Should I give a hint? For $200 credit, what was the first thing that he mentioned he did, or that he suggests that one do to build their network? Trish, you must first build yourself. That is indeed correct. So we will take your information, Trish, off air. I will send you that credit. But I believe it's important. Finding value others. Mr. Small, I really liked your presentation because this was a conversation I was having with a friend last night. She wanted to do a charity, but she had persons in her class. Not necessarily, I was telling her, though they're in your class and though you're doing a specific thing, they don't necessarily want to do it with you. You're just adding them there because they are your friends. They are considered, as you would say, reference point. Because in return, that person was actually doing it on their own. Who is pulling the weight to do logistics? Who is doing the weight for recon and all that stuff? They were just a reference point. So I told her, you need to, if you have to do it by yourself, do it by yourself. So I really like that presentation because it reiterates what I had already believed. So thank you very much, Mr. Small. I look forward to working with you in some entertainment space. And thank you once more, all right? All right, ladies and gentlemen. So those 3 presentations speak to a lot that you have to do to build your network. And the theme for this networking day is committed to excellence. Once you follow these 3 steps in your college life, I can guarantee you, you will be on the road to excellence, to achieving those goals, managing your time wisely, and connecting with people who are value others, who share the same interest as you. But on that road, Mr. Small is the managing director for EPIC, right? All these things he had to put in place to become the managing director. He had to put those things in place to become a leader that I'm sure doesn't make decisions on his own, but he delegates with his network. And the next speaker that will be presenting for us, he epitomized leadership in my view. I've known him for many years, almost 8 years. We went to Monroe together and all that stuff. So to introduce the next speaker, I'm going to ask Romaine Campbell to do the honors for me, please. Romaine?
Yes, here. Good afternoon. The next speaker is the founder of Separate to Elevate, a movement aimed at uplifting and motivating youth across Jamaica through, but not limited to, public speaking, tutoring, and coaching sessions. He is also the director of the charity-based non-profit organization, Greeley, which is aimed at assisting persons in need through donations and whatever need of them that may arise. Being a past student of the City on a Hill, Monroe College, and Montego Bay Community College, he has also held the roles of Hall F Resident Assistant on Hall Chairperson for Halls of Residence and School of Engineering Entertainment Director here at the University of Technology. He currently serves as the National Youth Parliamentarian for Northeast St. Anne and County Coordinator for Middlesex Youth Parliamentarians. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause for our next speaker, Mr. Romario Francis.
Good afternoon, everyone. Oh boy.
Hello.
Hold on, I'm trying to share my screen. How's everybody doing? I know you've been asked that like a million times. But if you have been here from the start, you would have been doing wonderful because those three powerhouse presenters, come on, man, they are and will be some of the best in the industry. Trust me. So it's really an honor. I every time Harlef comes up with something, it always amazes me how much they can get better at what they do, you know. So I was really happy to accept this. Just a point of information. The only criteria I had to accepting doing this presentation was that because it's still my Sabbath, I had to kind of tailor it biblically, in a sense, you get me, as to maintain the holiness of today. So you'll find me using a lot of Bible quotes and stuff. And if you actually hear me talk foolishness, you can correct me. But yes, it really is indeed a pleasure and an honor to be here. Today, the theme is commitment to excellence, right? And it's such a fitting topic to speak about on the topic of leadership, right? So let's just move right into presentation. I actually be engaging some of you during the presentation, so please just help me out when I call upon you, or just volunteer yourselves. All right. So the objectives I would want to achieve with this presentation is defining leadership, defining what makes an effective leader, and examples of leaders and how they commanded and demanded respect. Now, even myself, we've been exposed to a lot of presentations about leadership and so on. So I didn't necessarily want to present it in a way that I've heard it before, because we have and we're going to continue hearing about leadership. So I hope that I would also have achieved the objective of presenting it in a manner that is captivating and uplifting, right? I don't necessarily have much to say on the topic, but I hope that what I will say will be very inspirational. Cool? All right. So to set the tone for my presentation, what I've selected 2 quotes. All right. The first one says that leadership is about making others better as a result of your presence and making sure that impact lasts in your absence. And that was by Sheryl Sandberg, right? That quote is so powerful, I had to share it because that's pretty much what a great leader in goals, right? It's more about what you pass on to others and not necessarily what you have to show others or what you have to display, right? And we'll go into the difference further in the presentation. Now, the next one that I actually made up on the spot, well, not necessarily entirely me. I actually took part of it from something that I heard Jeffrey Azan said. You probably heard of him. That leadership is like public speaking. Your objective should always put your audience, or in the case of leadership, your followers first, right? As Steve would know, that probably sounds like something Mr. Azan would say. But yeah, so I've kind of given you a hint as to where I'm going with this whole leadership thing. But I actually want to know the difference from at least 2 persons. What do you think a leader, no, not what do you think a leader is. I want to know what makes a leader different from a manager. Anybody? Don't all jump in at once. What makes a leader different from a manager? Not any dictionary meaning, just in your own words. What makes a leader different from a manager?
Mr. Raro?
Yes, sir.
Greetings, sir. It is not Ricardo Jovan Killing.
Coronavirus. Is it my coronavirus?
Pause. Your mic.
Coronavirus.
Sir. All right, so just to answer your question, a leader is someone who inspires the team, and the manager basically gives instructions.
All right, that's good. Anybody else? Come on, we've heard about this topic every day. Someone must have something to confirm. Let me check in the chat. That thing.
In the chat, it says not all managers are leaders.
All right, wonderful. That's actually good, and not all leaders are managers as well.
Mr. Francis.
All right, so I see someone else raise their hand. You want to speak, sir?
Yes, sir. I want to speak.
Go ahead.
So I'd say that a leader is someone who focuses on helping the team and the individuals in the team to become better, while a manager focuses on the task and getting the task done.
That is true to an extent. That is true. I'll take one more. I see
Mr. Francis, I think your fiance has her hand up.
Guys. Yes, I was getting to there. I see Sanisha has her hand up.
I think a leader's job is to serve, so they serve their followers. But a manager's job is to ensure that the employees serve the company effectively and efficiently if can.
Wonderful. That's actually a good summary of the difference. Now, I pretty much just summarized it myself in 2 simple ways. Leaders have persons who follow, and managers have people who work for them. That's how.
Mario?
Yes.
Yes, I was going to chime in and say also the difference is like leaders are for the people and the managers are for the organization.
Thank you. That is actually true as well. I like the fact that you're all participating. I hope it continues during the presentation. Right? So pretty much all that you have said is true. Leaders pretty much focus on different things than what managers focus on. Right? And as I put in my own words, as I said, leaders have persons who follow and managers have persons who work for them. Cool? If you don't agree, you can actually let me know in the chat. All right. So, to kind of put this into perspective, I like to refer to this story from this book I read. The book is called Influence: The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. And I made mention of it in previous presentations, but I still feel it's a very relevant story. So I actually hope you find the irony in it as I did. All right. So the book actually starts off with this story. It says that mother turkeys, right, actually only tend to their babies, their younglings, when they are making a cheep sound. You know, cheep sound, birds make cheep. Yeah. Not about the guy from Everybody Hates Chris, isn't it? But yeah, birds make cheep sounds. And that's the only way the mother turkey actually recognizes that their young needs attention. So if they don't make a cheep sound, then they don't need any attention, right? So when the mother turkey sees a predator, she actually come and fight them off, right? Just as any parent would do to protect their young, right? Now psychologists, always run an experiment, decided to take these two scenarios and created an experiment, and the results are actually very interesting, right? So he created a fake bird that looks exactly like the same predator that the mother just fight off, like the mother fight off this what's a predator? This mongoose. Mongoose tried to eat the baby yesterday, right? And the psychologist actually made a fake mongoose to say. And what they did, they actually put a microphone in a fake mongoose. The same mongoose was trying to eat the bird them yesterday, and the mother see the same mongoose. However, they put a mic in that mongoose, and that mongoose, through the mic, was making that same cheep sound that the babies made. Now, I want to hear what you think happened. What was the result of this experiment? When the mongoose came, or the fake mongoose came, what happened when the mother heard the mongoose making that cheep sound? Kim, yes, I see you raise your hand.
I'm gonna assume that she responded the same way she would responded to her chicklings, to the mongoose.
All right, I won't say you're wrong or you're right just yet. I want to hear from at least one more person. Anybody else?
Two hands are raised in the chat, Mr. Francis.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Antonio.
Sir. So I feel that the turkey like attacked the mongoose just like it did before.
All right. And that just seems very logical, right? Whether I make a different sound or what, it's just the fact that it's still a mongoose, right? However, Kim is actually right. And I still don't get the reason behind it, right? So what happened is that after so after they actually made the experiment, the mother turkey actually went over to that mongoose that was making the cheep sound and actually comforted that mongoose and treated that mongoose like one of our own children. And that is very amazing and unbelievable, right? So psychologists use this to summarize that whenever there's a specific A variable, right, which in this case, it's a sound, cheep sound. Doesn't matter how you look, it could be a tree. As long as the cheep sound is coming from that tree, that mother turkey will say, that is my baby, right? So the A variable in the experiment was a cheep sound. Now the B reaction was the reaction of the mother turkey, right? And every time I present this to someone, I'm still amazed as to the end result of the experiment. However, it's actually true. Whenever there's an A reaction, and it goes across the board in our life as well, there's always, whenever there's an A variable, there's always a B reaction, right? And how does this apply to leadership? Well, I'll actually use a story to actually put that into perspective. Now, we all know the story about Moses and Pharaoh, and we all know the face value of that story. Moses parted the Red Sea, and however, I've chosen a specific aspect of that story and their personalities to actually put this whole leadership and this experiment into perspective. Now, Pharaoh, king of Egypt, demanded his people to serve him, demanded the Egyptians to murder the young baby boys, demanded the army to chase the same Israelites that he said he was going to let go. And Pharaoh demanded respect. Notice how the word demanded is highlighted in all scenarios, right? Now, I guess the majority of have been exposed to the story, Pharaoh, wicked, and whatever. But I'm just focusing on what actually made Pharaoh the Pharaoh that you heard about, right? And it was because of how he operated, his modus operandi. So he demanded, right? Whatever he wanted, he demanded from the person, from people, and that's how they respected him, as a demander, right? They never respected him as someone who they could look up to. They just say, all right, he says that, we do that. Now, Moses commanded the Israelites to follow him, right? He commanded Pharaoh, through the help of God, of course, to set the Israelites free, and he commanded that the Israelites actually follow him across the Red Sea, sorry. And Moses commanded respect, right? So Pharaoh demanded respect, Moses commanded respect, right? Now, of course, can someone tell me, in their perspective, what they see or interpret the difference to be with demanding and commanding respect? Anthony, raise your hand. However, I want to hear from someone else who has not necessarily been participating. Let's hear from, I'm going to pick someone from the chat. I see this Kiana James. Is there Kiana James in the house?
Hello, could you repeat, please?
Yes, I want to know in your words, what's the difference between commanding respect and demanding respect? Hello? Kiana, are you still there? All right, let me call on someone else. Chavez. All of us.
Sorry, Romario. Sorry, I stepped away from the laptop. What were you saying?
I was asking, what's the difference between commanding respect and demanding respect?
In respect to leadership, commanding versus demanding. It's similar, but when you put them together, I think demanding has more of a selfish attachment to it versus commanding. Because as a leader, you can command, saying that you want this to be done, X, Y, but demanding that it gets done now. I think that has some kind of, you want this to happen right now type of thing. I hope you get me.
Yeah, I understand. All right. Thank you for that. So, all right, I see Ajay raise his hand. You can go ahead, Ajay.
All right, so I would say that commanding respect has to do with your how you carry yourself, how you operate. Depending on how you operate, it automatically results in persons wanting to respect you and wanting to be a part of whatever you're doing, as opposed to demanding respect, operating in a way where you're telling people or demanding people per se to respect you, to do this and do that, and they don't necessarily feel the need to, or they're not compelled to.
All right, that's good. That's good. Thank you for that. In the chat, Alex says it's based on freedom of choice. When you're, well, he used the word employees. But when your employees choose to do something without being pressured, the more inclined to work. They are more inclined to work harder, which is also true. So you're all right. The difference is how Pharaoh and Moses operated, right? Are they, in this case, the A variables, right? And the B reaction was how the people responded to him, right? To them. So in this case, it was how they were respected, right? Which eventually led to Pharaoh's demise and Moses' appointment, right? So to demand respect is to tell others, you will respect me, right? Or otherwise threaten or punish those who do not act according to your wishes, right? And persons who generally demand respect are persons who don't often feel comfortable about themselves and how they lead people. And you find that sometimes you find this attribute in managers and not leaders, right? Where a good or great leader actually commands respect by having persons observe them and admire them from their very actions and volition, right? So in terms of in the realm of leadership, right, you always want to strive to command the respect of others and not demand it, right? And there are many other aspects I could pin to effective leadership, but I think that with this being the top attribute or capacity, as an author will speak about, refers to it, with this being one of the biggest capacities you have personally, then other capacities or other attributes or personalities or character will actually fall in line. So I've heard many persons present and pinpoint different things to leadership or being a good leader. However, if you command the respect of your peers or your followers through your actions and through how you operate, then effectively you will be a good leader. And although Miss Holness is on the call, I made note of an example when I was hall chair, right? So during my tenure, well, not even during my tenure, every year there is some reason where the whole dorm community or a whole dorm is being charged for something relating to caution fee, right? It could be the breaking of a simple wire or the missing of a whole fridge. Well, the fridge never really go missing, but it's just for example, right? It's always something, and the hall chair is always the person who gets the backlash for it, right? The hall chair and of course the accommodations unit, even though it's not their fault anyway. However, they told us from the start that if something goes missing or is broken, then we have to pay for it through the caution fee. During my year as hall chair now, Miss Holness, cover your ears. There came a time where there was a card missing, a card and something else. However, the whole down community had to pay for that one card. Even though in theory, it would just be like a couple cents or dollars coming out of your caution fee. However, the Durham community still held me accountable that they don't want anything coming out of it, right? So what happened was that I recognized that I was the point person for the Durham community. I saw myself as the leader. I didn't have to see myself. I was the hall chair person, so I had to do something about it. In previous years, other hall chairs reacted to it differently. We're going back to the same A variables and B reactions, right? And how they reacted to it determined how the whole Durham community looked at them. Now, with this in mind, I said that I never want to be in the bullbuck and devil conqueror, even whether I'm going to fight or don't fight, it probably would end up being the same result, right? So I sat and I thought about it. What can I do as a leader? thinking about the Durham community first, that would not necessarily end in an uproar or a riot as they were asking for. But however, effectively get the attention of the accommodations unit that say, hey, this can happen. So I may or may not have organized a plot to allow everybody to send an email one time, a specific time, to a specific person over the accommodations unit. The message of the email wasn't important. It was just that UTech whole system couldn't necessarily manage the capacity of so many emails being sent at once. So with that being said, if I organize for 100 or so emails saying one time, then I definitely would get the attention and they would retrace, right? And it actually worked. So my A variable was not actually rioting or causing violence. However, I picked an effective way to get their attention and to say, hey, all right, we're not going to touch the caution fee. So it reached a point where the person over the accommodations unit actually emailed me and asking me to tell people to stop emailing her because their computer is crashing, right? And I say I may or may not have organized that. So you can't hold me to that. However, that was my A variable as my capacity as hard share. So that's how I commanded the respect of the Durham community. So when the Durham community saw that they didn't have to lock any door or whatever, but they still got the result that they wanted, they started to look on the whole leadership and the whole hard share thing differently. So throughout the year, we actually solved different problems and different issues along that line. And I just made that point to say that pretty much whatever you choose to be your style of leadership, just know that it will really affect how other persons in their community, well, not their community, in life, how they look at you. That will be their B reaction, right? So in the case of Moses and Pharaoh, I go back to that. Pharaoh demanded person to do this, and it was some unjust acts as well. So they actually necessarily, I'm not sure, but I can only imagine that they necessarily didn't want to do all this stuff. However, the things that Moses were asking the person to do, it was to their benefit. So, of course, persons followed Moses and didn't listen to Pharaoh. I hope Mr. Holiness ignored everything I said. So, another point on that note was that leadership is not always about the position that you're in, or it's not always about your name or how tall you are, or if you're shy, or if you how you speak, because Moses had a speech problem, as the Bible said. However, you see that Moses was one of the most effective leaders in the Bible, right? And it goes across the board, whether work or school. It really has something to do with how you lead, and thinking with this in mind, that whatever I do as a leader, it will affect how persons look at me, as well as it will affect the end result. Then with these things in mind, then that will determine how effective you are as a leader. And that's what I use to this day at work, and that's what I use at school. And bear in mind, I want to reiterate the point that you don't need to be in a position to be a leader, right? That's pretty much more aligned to management, right? So we're building leaders in here, not managers, right? So if you want to write this down, so what in whichever way you interpret it, there an A variable will always lead to a B reaction in leadership. Cool. And that's pretty much what I wanted to get across today. As I said, this pretty much encapsulates everything that leadership has, because there are so many things that persons can tell you about leadership. But I think this is one of the main things that pretty much will complement all the other attributes, right? And before I go, I just want to leave some books. Oh, final slide, sorry. So with that said, God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. And that was used in one of the devotions I had this week, right? So Pharaoh was more than qualified to lead, to be king. However, God called Moses and qualified him to be a leader, right? So as I pretty much said that in 10 different ways a while ago as well. So you may not want to be a leader or you are not probably the leader that you want to be. However, through consistent, intentional, let's use the word intentional, through consistent, intentional habits, you will begin to elevate the different capacity, right? The capacity I was making mention to was from this book called Elevate by Robert Glazer. It speaks to the spiritual, emotional, physical, and there's one more. Yeah, they call them capacity building. So it's pretty much what's personal to you or what makes you you, right? So your health, your spiritual wellness, your physical wellness, all of those sometimes have to be, and I heard other speakers before me make mention to it, all of those have to be together in order for you to actually effectively lead, because you can't necessarily lead when you're sick, or you can't necessarily lead when you are having some major internal fights. You get me? You can, but if you can, you might not be able to prolong that. You might not be able to do it for a long time. So with being an effective leader, the habits that you want to kind of practice or get into, circulate these 5 questions or these 5 topics. It's finding your why. Why is it that I want to do this? Why is it that I want to go there? Why is it that I want to be the leader I want to be? Or why is it that I have set out these goals, right? It's pretty much finding the why that is specific to you, right? It's overcoming self-limiting beliefs. I said this is what actually prevents a lot of persons from going into a lot of positions or a lot of opportunities that would put them in the position to lead, right? I can use this as my experience as another example. At work, a couple of weeks after I graduated and I started working as an intern, so I wasn't even permanent yet, and a situation arose where there was a manager, not a leader, who was in charge of pretty much carrying out a project, and how he managed pretty much kept all the information to himself, right? So if he wasn't there, then the project couldn't continue. Now, as an intern, I saw the opportunity to share some knowledge, because the manager I'm referring to wasn't necessarily there at the time where the project needed to be executed. However, the project needed to be done at a specific time, all right? Now, the problem they had, I saw an opportunity to step up. I didn't know anybody, shy, same way or whatever, as much as that's hard to believe. And I saw the opportunity to step up, and I stepped up and said, all right, listen, this is how we're going to solve the problem. This is how we're going to do it. This is why we're doing it this way, and so. So I made all the objectives clear, right, and smart, as the previous presenters mentioned before. And they all assessed it and said, you know, this little youth, right? Imagine them call me the tallest person in the group, little youth. But yeah, them say it's little youth right enough. And from that moment, they actually did it, and they real success. And the project was actually finished before that same manager even returned, right? So from there, as small as I used that to build my network. You get me? And it continued from there. So that moment on, I used that specific moment that I saw. Nobody told me to do that. I saw the opportunity to lead, and I made use of it, and I was able to actually continue to. Well, they actually put me in other portfolios or other positions to actually continue to lead as an intern, right? So that pretty much, I use that point to say that no matter what you think you can or cannot do, right, you just have to overcome those self-limiting beliefs, right? Because you never know when that opportunity to actually matriculate or to elevate yourself will arise, right? And if you pretty much dwell on those self-limiting beliefs, then you never know, right? So if it's a position you want to go for it. Even if you're not competent yet, just go for it. Right? Setting goals and creating accountability. Jeremy and Ravel spoke to that, so I won't necessarily go on that long. Maintain health and wellness. As I said before, you can't effectively lead if you're not necessarily physically well, or mentally well, or spiritually well as well. And finally, establishing a routine and positive habits, right? Jeremy highlighted how you can do that, how you can manage your day, how you can be intentional, so as to say, right? And these are the books I pretty much made reference to, as well as a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. Now, I think that these three, if you think that your path will pretty much have some leadership role in it, whether it's at work or your entrepreneurship or just a club or something, then I recommend reading 1 or 3 of these books. It's Elevate, Influence, Psychology of Persuasion, and Atomic Habits by James Clear. And that was the end of my presentation, but I always like to leave this quote before I go. It is by separating from our old self through our ways of thinking and our modus operandi, I mean, how we operate, will we truly begin to elevate into our purpose. Cool? That's it. Any questions? Don't all jump at once. Yes, Ajay.
Could you go back to the slide with the books? Thank you.
Yes, sir. Any questions? Even if it's not relating to what I specifically said, it's something that you personally need clarification on, or you personally just want an answer. You just want to hear someone else's perspective on. Anybody?
Mr. Francis.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man, I have a question. I believe that image is very important as a leader. However, sometimes image, do you feel that image have an influence on how you're perceived as a leader, where you're commanding or demanding?
Image as in your physical image?
How you portray, how people see you then. How you dress, how you speak, that speaks to your image, right? So do you believe that it has a huge impact on how you're perceived as how you're seen as a leader?
Yes, the answer is yes, it can. It won't necessarily have an impact with everyone or with every group. However, you pretty much, as I said, you pretty much want to lead with the followers in mind, right? So you're speaking to a group of, just for example, a group of graduates at a formal, well, I'm using guest speaking to get across my point. You're speaking to a group of graduates. You don't necessarily want to go speak to them in jeans. You get me? You want to put yourself together and so. However, even if you do go out there in jeans, then you still can deliver the best presentation they've ever heard, right? So it's pretty much it's more about your confidence personally and what values you see important to you, as well as still thinking about the followers in mind. You get me? So you can, in terms of physical image, I was reading a book as well. I can't remember. But I was also reading a book that it says that majority of the books that you read, it speaks to like the character, no, the personality traits. So how you dress, how you speak, your demeanor. So, and the author was saying that it's more of your character traits, your integrity, your honesty, your values. Those things. That was that the specific author was saying that that's what pretty much makes you an effective leader. And other authors that write different books say that, hey, no, it's more your personality traits. So my answer to that is yes, it can affect how a person see you. However, if you have that self-confidence and you have that, that you have how you want to lead and how you want to get your leadership across, then image doesn't have to matter all the time. That's my answer to that.
Thank you.
Stephen messaged me and asked, how has my time as a leader at UTech shaped how I lead now? And what was the most impactful lesson I learned about leadership? That's actually a very good question, right? So at UTech, that's where I gained my confidence and gained actually my style of leadership, right? It was very different from high school. So leading at UTech, where you're actually leading adults, or you're actually in charge of, or you're trying to command the respect of adults. It's really difficult. And so my time as a leader in different capacities as a university student is really what shaped how I actually operate at work, right? So I speak to my peers at work how I would speak to my fellow dorm mates. I speak to and operate around the managers at my work, how I would, give the same respect to my resident managers, right? And it was through those lessons that I learned as a leader and communicating with a lot of persons because of the position I was in at UTech, the portfolio I was in at UTech. Then that's actually what shaped how I actually lead now, right? So I respect who I should respect, the persons who, are, whether they're in positions above me or not, even if I am in charge of them, once they're older than me, then it's Mr. or Mr. That's why I still can't call Miss Honest Marsha. I don't know how people do it. But yeah, that's how my time at UTech actually shaped how I operate now. And my most impactful lesson was that same lesson that I referred to in the presentation. And it was about whatever I do, or what the same A variable I referred to, how I operate, how I led, would really determine the reaction of who I'm leading and the result that I want. So to answer those two questions, that's what I would say to those.
All right. We'll take one more. Busu.
I said Busu, yeah. Busu, you can go ahead.
Good day, everybody. Want you hear me?
Yeah, man. Right.
All right. Good day, everybody. Mr. Francis, my question is, sometimes when you listen, when you get advice from a lot of different people, that can kind of alter your goals. So what I want to know is, as a leader, should you have a little selfish ways about you, where you know what you come to achieve and you already know how you plan to achieve it, so you just go on and do your thing? Or should you be open to advice from a lot of people? Or should you know where to draw the line? If you understand what the question I'm trying to ask.
Yeah, man, I understand. All right, so to answer that, in my own words, or in my view, I would say that that's really a situation-based answer. So it really depends on the situation. However, no matter the situation, you should be always open to listen, right? Listening doesn't necessarily always have to be acted on. However, you just still have to be open yourself as a leader to accept whatever it is being said or whatever it is being asked. And then as a leader have to assess the objective, not necessarily how people will feel also all the time, but it's more about the objective. Cool. So it's really specific to different problems also. However, it's more about assessing the situation or situations as a leader and then making the best decision, as I said before, geared towards with the followers in mind. Cool. I hope that answers the question.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much, Mr. Francis. Again, it's a pleasure seeing you again, sir. It's been a while. It's been a while. I realize it's such on caution fee. These times it's a very touchy topic. You have to be careful. Right?
My bad.
But I'm going to give you the opportunity, sir. It's been a while. I'm happy to see. I'm very happy to see. I'm going to give you the opportunity to give away one of my credit, a $200 credit. Yeah. So I'm giving you the opportunity to lead this question onto someone. give away a $200 credit?
Easy. Well, as I was asking in the group, if we're not cater for postpaid people, but anyways, my
But
question
can't pay
is.
those bills, sir. Sorry.
I see why you gave me the question. All right, so my question is, I would want to hear personally from somebody. Another scenario that they can clearly identify, that same analogy I use with the A variable and B reaction. Another scenario that they were in, that they had to, use that same A variable scenario and tell me about that same B reaction.
But I could win back my credit.
No, sir. No.
Okay, let's get some participation. Tell Mr. Francis a situation where you had to use the A variable versus the B reaction, and make it very clear, because it's $200. And I hear Mr. Perkins saying put in another $200 on it. So it's $400. So you have to make it very clear. Let's go, guys. Let's go.
A situation where you had to assess and use some A variable to get a B reaction as a leader. Anybody?
This is an easy credit. It's an easy.
All you have to do is share an experience.
Exactly.
All you have to do is share an experience.
You're getting $400 credit. I see Jeremy try to answer. No, Jeremy. No, Mr. Anderson. Come on, guys. I think I want to win back my credit.
All right, sir.
Can I do that?
I guess you have to ask your producers.
Somebody said no. Somebody said no. So, Daniel, let me give you the credit. Tell us a situation where you had to use both variables, please.
Right, hold on. So just to be clear, the question is, state a scenario where you'd have had to use an A variable, which is come up with something to get the right, or to get a reaction from the people that you're serving or leading. That's basically.
Yes, to get a specific reaction that you wanted.
And it can be in any context, right?
Any context.
All right, I have siblings. I have quite a few of them. And my little brother my oldest brother left the house. So he's living on his own. So my brother is surrounded by sisters. And oftentimes he will just go into his own space. And he will just start saying missing brother, because we as sisters don't quote unquote pay him enough attention, and him don't feel all that loved. He's 8, and he quite clearly tells us this. So what I had to do was, one, I made a schedule for him where we're forced to, at specific times of the day, whether we like it or not, we have to go outside with him and let him ride his bicycle or play football with him. So we came to a compromise. So even though, we're girls and we sit on our phone or we like to do girl stuff, we understood the importance of that, he needs our attention and our affection, and we make it work. So that was I don't know if that makes sense. Does it make sense? No? Yeah. And I mean, it can be mirrored to what we'll have to do sometimes as leaders. We'll have to look at issues that affect the people we serve. They may feel uncomfortable in context or feel underappreciated, and we'll have to make a compromise to make them feel more appreciated or more accepted or more a part of the team. Yeah.
All right, so my other question is, what was the A variable and what was the reaction? that you wanted?
So the A variable was like I did just need to make him feel more accepted, and the reaction was me making as little effort as possible, but also making him feel like, yo, I'm making an effort. If that makes sense.
Well, I was more hoping you would say that the A variable is the how, and the B reaction would actually be him feeling you said comfortable.
That Mr. Rara just in a very complicated way.
All right. What is that? Gear or don't gear? Because me can't make the decision there.
But I'm saying, no, the person will say next, give a scenario then, no? Because they never did the answer.
Basically, I want a how and a result. Yeah, Mr. Antonio, since you're saying no, give us a scenario. All right, if not, then I think you should just award Daniel the credit then. Mr. Lewis. Jeremy or Mr. Lewis.
Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I was saying it's a pleasure to see you. Happy that you could be a part of this, and we'll be in touch. All right? Take care. All right, guys. I do appreciate you being here. Our four presenters, or four presenters actually put a map in front of you, showing you the way to reaching a specific goal, planning with time management, using your network, and in that network, how to be an effective leader. I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to come here. In closing, I will ask the RA for Olive, Mr. Jordan Perkins, to do our vote of thanks for us, please.
Okay, so audio is up. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. It is a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this first staging of the Falcon Networking and Development Day. First and foremost, I thank Mr. Robel Chambers for his stellar presentation on the importance of smart goal setting. I know this information will be very useful to us, as it is very easy to become discouraged if we are not determined to achieve our goals. Time waits on no man, and as such, we are grateful too for the words of wisdom that have been imparted by Mr. Jeremy Anderson on time management. The use of the mobile apps for organization will be a game changer for us. I'd also like to thank Mr. Tevon Small for taking the time to present on the importance of building our network and value. Mr. Small also highlighted that university is one of the major facilitators of networking, and we will definitely keep this in mind. My gratitude also extends to Mr. Romario Francis, who imparted his knowledge of leadership, as he too is a guru in that department. It is truly important to understand that as leaders, we should command respect through our actions rather than demanding respect. Last but not least, I thank all supporters for joining us today. To the production team, a big shout out to you in helping to make this event a success. I leave with you this quote: without deviation from the norm, progress is not possible by Frank Zappa. In other words, we need to separate to elevate. Thank you.
That we are talking about.
Thank you very much, Mr. Perkins. So we have come to the end of our Falcon Networking and Development Day. I hope that you all took something from this event. I hope that you will implement some of these strategies, the goal setting techniques, some of the time maximizing strategies instead of time management, because as Jeremy said, we can't manage time, but we can maximize it. Set our schedules to fit what we want to do. And the importance of networking in a college space, in a university space, you have seen testament to it from Mr. Small, and how to be an effective leader. You need to believe in yourself. Sometimes it's not what you, how is it, Mr. Francis? You don't, God, go again, how the statement go? You don't plan, God plan, something like that? Mr. Francis? However the statement is.
God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the call.
God qualifies the call. So in everything that you do, sometimes you just have to wait on God to qualify that call. So I thank you very much for tuning in. I'll see you guys next year at our next development session, and I hope you guys stay safe. Bye for now.
Yeah, big up them, big up them.
Drumline!
Drumline!
Hey, yo, Raro!
Wagwan!
There, man, I'm reaching late. They want to on this meeting, them have one day, but you know, I have to reach, you know? Big up on yourself.
True. Up.
Mr. Francis.
Yes, sir.
Question. Like you was talking about like being a leader and like commanding and demanding. I was wondering like what would a leader do like if he commanded, but if the like your followers or the people that like look up to you just don't follow after you.
That's a good question. Well,
like you're
if one
trying to
way
make an
doesn't,
example.
yeah, man, I understand. If one way doesn't work, then you have to either try another way, or you probably just need to find the reason they're not, I guess, cooperating. You get me? Because sometimes when you know why, then it's easier to address it, right? So you can diagnose the problem first, or you can just find a different means of leading. There's not one way to solve a problem.
Alright, I understand, sir. Thanks.
Francis, big up yourself, man.
Yes, sir, Sheppy.
Good stuff. Devon, Blessing, Jeremy, and Rovel, big up on yourself. Appreciate it much.
You need to select the food. That's the first thing.